on, it's not recording it. There we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday Notary Titans. My name is Bill Soroka, and today is Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. I'm the founder of NotaryCoach.com and author of Sign and Thrive, How to Make Six Figures as a Mobile Notary and Loan Signing Agent. And I'm here with my co-hosts, Laura Biewer, founder of, well, she's not here yet, but she's the founder of CoachMeLaura.com. And if you guys really enjoy one-on-one coaching for your state specifically, Laura Biewer is a great option for that. And our additional co-host is Carol Ray, founder of Notary to Pro, the most respected loan signing certification program in the country. And she's one of our hosts here today as well. Usually, neither one of them appear to be here quite yet, so I'm talking
Phil?
kind of slowly. Yes, hi, Phil.
And I apologize for Laura, since I'm the one who kept her away from you for just a couple minutes. We just got off the phone together. She should be with you in a matter of seconds.
Leave it to Phil.
Yeah, I know. It's all my fault.
Totally cool. No worries. I'm sure you guys are solving the world's problems, so no problem at all. She'll jump on here. Guys, let me tell you how this call works. This is like an old-fashioned call-in radio show, but we geek out on notary stuff. You can raise your hand. Use the raise hand feature in Zoom to get yourself in line. Laura, Carol, and myself will do our best to answer those questions. The way you'll do it is you'll get called on, you unmute, you tell us what state you are in, and ask your question. If we need additional backup information, we will ask. And we're going to do our best to get through as much of this as possible. Before I do that, since I'm the only one here, I'm going to tell you what I'm excited about. Tomorrow, I have Judy Lawrence, Queen of the Apostille, joining me for Apostille 101, or 1.0 is what we're calling it. And that is for anybody who's interested in learning exactly what apostille work is and how to build a business around it. We are going to have a free webinar tomorrow, and you can register for that at the link in the chat. It's just notarycoach.com/Judy, Judi, if you're just listening in. And that's totally free to register. There she is. I talked just enough time for Laura to join us. Hi, Laura. Glad you made it.
Hi.
Welcome.
Get all hooked up here in my new location.
No problem. And Carol's here as well. Carol, awesome. Okay, so let's do this real quick. I've already introduced you and told everyone about your businesses. But Laura, can you pop in, founder of CoachMeLaura.com? Tell us what you're excited about this week.
What am I excited about this week?
Surprise you with that one?
You did. I shouldn't be surprised. You ask me every week, but okay. So I'm excited because we're having some little home switching going on. And my brother, who was in one of my rental homes nearby me, is moving to North Carolina, and that empties out that house. And my son, his wife, and my new little grandson are going to be moving in, and they'll be 1 mile from me. Nice. So I'm excited about that.
I love how that opened up for you.
Yeah.
Carol, are you with us? Carol, can you hear me? You're on mute. All right. Sometimes Carol has internet connectivity issues. So Carol, just know that we're here for you. And whenever you're ready, we will come back to you.
I don't know if you can hear me, Bill. Can you hear me?
Yep, there you go. Hi. Yeah. Kind of.
I'm gonna move to another place.
Cool. Well, we'll be here whenever you move. I'm gonna go ahead and mute you out real quick. Carol Ray, founder of Notary to Pro, is in the house. All right, there she is. Carol, you want to unmute and see if that helps? All right, maybe not yet. We're going to go ahead and dive in here, guys. Apollonia Barksdale, you are the first hand that I see. Thank you so much. Unmute, tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Bill. Hi, Kara. Hi, Laura. My name is Apollonia Barksdale. I am in Illinois. Thank you so much for always doing this. I really, truly appreciate your commitment, your continued commitment and passion to help the notary community so that we can be successful and blow up like you guys. So my question is regarding there was a topic on the Facebook group this week, and one of them was, is it okay or should you be dating the signature line? What I do not date anything for the signer. I always ask that they date, even if they miss a date. Well, I don't miss them because I always triple check my documents, but I don't date for the documents, for the signer. Is it okay to date for the signer, or is it the expectation that the signer writes in their dates on the documents?
Great question. Laura, what's your take on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I never would date a date for the signer. The signer has to date their own document. If the document doesn't have the word date, then I'm not going to worry about getting a date at all. I only worry about pointing that out to them if it has the word date next to their signature.
Exceptions for signers that struggle or have arthritis or otherwise maybe a few dates towards the end.
So I mean, certainly they might have family available that could do that for them. The spouse could do it for them, but I'm not going to do it.
It takes on a lot of liability.
Yeah.
Unnecessary liability. Carol,
Unnecessary.
Hi, Carol will be there in just a minute.
All right, thanks, Barbara. Okay, great question, Apollonia. Tom from Austin. We know you're in Texas. How can we help?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Sure can.
Yeah, great. I had a question regarding the packages of documents you leave behind with the signers. I'm always do a full, legal size package, but cost of paper is one thing. And I'm just wondering if it's unprofessional to leave it as a compressed 8.5 by 11s. Or even if the signing company or the lenders got back with the signers and asked how it went, and they say, well, he left me papers that are so compressed I can't even read them. Is there any kind of judgment you would have on that? What you could do to avoid being more or less blacklisted by a signer or something like that?
I'll tell you my thinking on this, and then I'd love to hear Laura and Carol as well. But I believe you should just leave the documents as you've received them. There's no reason to minimize them. We're talking about saving pennies. And in the grand scheme of things, I think the sacrifice is not worth it. Number one, you no longer have backup paperwork. If you make a mistake on something, you don't have those papers to go to and tap into. Number two, it does look kind of unprofessional. And number three, Carol, I'm going to mute you so I can hear you. Wow, look at that camera, though. It looks like she's in HD. I love it. The third thing is, oh, shoot, that was a really good third thing, too. It was,
like the first two.
It's a complete, well. To me, you focus on saving pennies when you could be doing something else with that time. I mean, it takes time to reset everything and then tell the computer that you're going to compress it. I've seen people try to squeeze 9 documents onto one page, or tell the printer, okay, don't print on both letter and legal size anymore. We only want on leather size. And to me, in my experience, that has not proven to be a worthwhile use of my time or resources.
Great. I always try to do it the professional way. That sounds like the way to do it, but I've never run into the situation before. It's just something I was thinking about.
Yeah. Great question. I know it pops up. I've seen it in the forums. Laura, any contrary opinion on that?
No, I support 100%. And the only thing I want to add is that most packages are not all legal. They're usually lettered with some legal papers in it. So it's not as expensive if you're doing the 2 sizes rather than printing everything on legal.
All right.
Beautiful. All right. Great question. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Celicia, love to see you on here. How's life in Florida?
Life in Florida got really, really good today.
Awesome.
So, I'm
ask your question.
I'm doing the Rainbow Wedding Chapel. And last week, since I'm adding that next little piece to my thing, I just started, goofing around and looking and tapping out the numbers of my phone. And what is 904 Rainbow? And looking to see just, is there any chance that phone number is available? And it was.
No way. Wow.
And it has been dormant for 22 years. And it actually, I had to do a little private eye work and found out that it was the previous number for a gal that I used to go to church with.
Small
and it was
world.
still under her profile. And, I have a hard time taking no for an answer. So I had already called AT&T and gone, I like to put a W on the end of no. And,
Love that.
and so I got her to meet me today. And we got to the AT&T store and they said, oh no, man, we can't do that. And I went outside and got in the car and called them on the phone. And 904 Rainbow is my new cell number for the Rainbow Wedding Chapel. And it'll go into effect just as soon as they send me my phone in a couple of days.
Congratulations. It's going to be hard to beat that. That's amazing. Well done.
Oh,
Well done.
man.
Anything we can help you out with today?
That was just like one of those little win things, I just
Yeah.
wanted to throw it out there. And I want to throw in the don't stop and don't take no for an answer. If you know you can get it, don't take no for an answer.
That's a great piece of advice. There's so much, whenever we convert over from employee thinking to entrepreneur thinking, if we bump up against even the slightest hurdle or guideline or the way other people have been doing it for 30 years, we often forget that that's not necessarily a rule and a hard stop. With a little perseverance, you can get through those things. And I love that. Don't take now, throw a W on the end of no for now. I love it. Thanks, Alicia. Appreciate that.
Bill, I wanted to let you know I'm here if you can hear
good.
me.
Yeah, I
I'm
can
in
hear you
Barbara's
loud and clear.
office. It's the only place. Yeah, the only place I can get service apparently here is in her office. So I'm moving her out. I'm moving her.
No, I love it. And the camera's crystal clear. That's like HD quality. We can see you. All right, wonderful. So
I
Randy,
have a kind of an announcement
Yes,
whenever
please.
you get a chance.
please go,
Okay.
go right ahead.
Just let me know. You want me to do it now?
Yes, please.
Bill and I had to get our driver's licenses here in Texas. And we had to go through bringing the birth certificate and everything in. I wanted to let you know, Bill just printed something out today that everybody has until October the 1st, 2021, when they need to have these real IDs. And so everybody should kind of plan for it. You're going to have to provide birth certificates and things like that to get them. And it's interesting, he got his, and it has a little hidden place in the corner of the ID of his driver's license with his photograph. And it's to keep, anybody can identify the fact that it's really his. But I just wanted to let everybody know this is important if they expect to fly or anything else. You really want to start working on getting what you need from your state to get those real IDs.
Awesome. Great. Thank you for that update. That's extremely important. I've been putting that off for years now, and the COVID excuse is about to run out.
Yep.
All right.
We got our first shots.
Oh, great.
We got our first
Congratulations.
COVID shot. Yeah.
That's huge.
Didn't even hurt.
It's a relief. Randy Ventures, thanks for being here. You want to unmute? Tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
I'm in the state of Washington, and I have a specific question and a general question related to signatures and middle initials.
Great.
The specific one was I did a signing, and on one form on my acknowledgement, I forgot to put the middle initial in on the signer's name. And through the signing service, the lender requested that I approve them to add that middle initial to my acknowledgement. So I wanted to know if that was okay for someone else to add to my acknowledgement.
I'm going to stop you right there. Laura, you want to take that question, the first half of that? Can a
Yeah,
notary approve someone else to change their certificate?
no. Sorry,
Short and
no.
sweet. Yep.
We cannot authorize somebody else to modify our certificate. I know that's not the answer we want, and it's just like add the J, but no.
Okay, Ken, is it okay to, so then I would add a jurat to that, or a separate acknowledgement to that?
Well, So in Washington, if you're allowed to correct for clerical errors like that, all you need to do is create another acknowledgement to replace the first acknowledgement. But you need the document back because you can't just send an acknowledgement by itself.
Okay.
That's
All right,
because
then.
they could use it for anything they want, any other document. That's why we do it that way, Randy.
Even if we add a statement saying what that acknowledgement is for.
I believe most states have the same rule, which is that a notarization certificate may not be given to somebody by itself. It must accompany the document.
Okay. All right. And the second question is, lately I've had a lot of people that just kind of scribble their names, or they've had like their full middle name put in on the documents and they say, I never signed that way. How do you advise them? I don't think you've covered this before, but how do you advise them to? I have never had a lender send back documents because they didn't like that they didn't put their middle name on it. On their signature.
Carol Ray, I know we get a chance to talk about this a lot. You want to address this?
Yeah, that and signatures that you can't read. If you get someone who has a middle initial, and you know what, my mind has just gone blank. If you get somebody that has a middle initial, it shows on their identification that they have it. It's not on the certificate. You put it in there. If it's not, I'm telling you, my mind is going. This not getting the internet is driving me nuts.
Yeah, it's got you all discombobulated. That's okay. You want me to
It
jump
really
in and take
does.
this one? Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's
no worries. So the rule of thumb here is, Randy, if the signature is not legible, meaning they can't read it, then you're usually in the clear as long as it matches the ID as well. Then it doesn't matter. You can ask them, does that represent your full name as stated in the documents? And then if they say yes, then that's the signature. The challenge really only comes is if the signature is legible. So if the lender has William David Soroka printed under my signature line, but I sign William Soroka and you can read it as William Soroka and I've clearly left out the David, then the lender might have a problem with that. Even if the signature on my ID says William Soroka, there might be a concern. So the way to handle that is, number one, we can't force people to sign any other way than they're going to sign, but I like to just have a conversation with them. I was like, because I'm finding out in the very beginning, right? They're signing my journal first thing. So I'm able to compare. I can see if there's going to be a challenge. I can have that conversation. All right, this is different. So the lender is going to be expecting that you sign first, middle, and last name. Are you okay adjusting your signature for that? If they say, yeah, sure, or gosh, Willie, I don't want to, that's ridiculous. I can say, well, that's their expectation. And if we sign differently, it might mean I have to make another trip out here and we might have to sign all of these again. Oh, forget it. I'll include the middle name. That's usually how it goes. And they just sign the middle name and I watch for it. If they're just like, nope, this is the way I sign. If they don't like it, I'm not signing these papers, then that's the way they're signing it. And they're not going to sign it any other way. So you just go with that. And I have a conversation up the chain with the hiring company. Laura, do you have a different way of describing that?
Nope, same exact way.
Randy, does that help?
I would like to add.
Yeah.
I would like to add one thing to it.
Sure.
Sorry, my mind just went kaput. But when you do see that they have a signature on their identification that's a scribble. I mean, I even saw somebody do a little picture of a cat, with the ears on. And what you need to do is ask them if that does constitute their name as it is on their identification. And if they say, yep, even though you can't read it, even if it's a scribble, then you can't ask them to change their signature because you'd be asking them to forge their own signature. There was a time when they'd send your documents back and say, no, we want to be able to read it. But enough of us fought back for years to get them to the point where we don't have that problem anymore. So clear it up at first, make sure that does constitute the way that they really use their signature, and that you can't force them into changing at that point.
May I ask a question?
Sure, Deborah.
Hi, Bill. Something you stated, you said, when you have them sign your journal first, then you are able to see their signature compared against their ID. So when you have them do that, and you're telling them these are for the documents I have yet to notarize, are they usually okay with that? Signing that journal beforehand?
Well,
Or what-
definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
I've
And you never had
known that.
anyone who said, "Oh, I don't want to sign it because you haven't notarized anything yet."
No, because it's coming. It's coming really soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the way that I
So-
word it is, if
That's
you
what I was
would
going to
pl-
ask. What's your
yeah,
word?
if you would please sign my journal here documenting our physical meeting.
Okay.
And that's
Thank
how I do
you.
that one. Yeah. Great question. All right. Bill from AZ. Thanks for being here. You want to unmute and ask your question? Bill from AZ, going once. You are on mute if you're asking an amazing question. I hope that's not me. Lula's iPhone, thanks for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in, and ask your question.
Okay, just trying to unmute. Sorry it took so
Yeah.
long.
No worries.
I'm from Pennsylvania, and I have a couple of questions. One has to do with, having your jurat or acknowledgement with your loan signing documents on a separate page than the document itself, like the mortgage, for instance, or the deed of trust. That notarial certificate you sign, isn't it? Sometimes the signer's signature isn't on there. So my question was, would it be a good idea to get a pre-printed stamp? Because I have so many of those that I am actually writing on the certificate. This certificate belongs to a document titled mortgage or whatever, and this is page, whatever it might be, 17 or page 2 of a 22-page document, something like that. Would you recommend getting a pre-made stamp where I could, most of that is written out and I'm just like saying, filling in like mortgage, this is page, whatever of this page?
Laura, do you have an opinion on this?
Well, I'm just trying to understand her question, actually. I'm not getting what she's asking.
I think she's asking, would you have a stamp made of a line that says this document pertains to such and such document?
Well, that's certainly one way to address it. If I'm having to attach, my acknowledgements and jurats all have the bottom half that say this can only be attached to this document, and there's a place for me to write it, how many pages, what's the date, what's the capacity they might be signing in, and mine are branded, so then next to that has all my own personal information. So you could do a stamp and put it on there rather than going the route of having it pre-printed. If you are a member of the NNA, you can download them and all their certificates have that.
Okay, yes, okay. So it's just that when you get the loan documents and they have the barcodes on the bottom, is it okay for me to just put my own certificate there? Because that.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. And not use theirs. I can use my own. So that was my other. Okay. I have another question.
Okay.
And it's, if somebody got married and their ID is in their married name, they just got married, they've changed their ID to their married name, but the loan documents are in their maiden name. what do I do? I can't use their marriage certificate to prove that. I'm just not sure what to do. I have a signing on Friday and this is what they're telling me. So I'm just, what do I do?
Yeah, so I'd love to hear Carol's opinion on this too, and Laura's, but if you can't validate that the person in front of you is the person who's supposed to be signing those documents, you cannot proceed. There are other
Okay.
ways you can go around it. You can get if your state allows a credible witness, you can find out if a credible witness is an option to that lender, but they either need to adjust the documents to reflect the proper name, or the ID needs to be changed to match her
Okay.
married name, to match the
I
document.
had this situation. The documents had the maiden name, and her driver's license did have her marriage, her recently married name. However, she had a valid passport still in her maiden name.
Yep. So either way, you have to, Deborah, I'm just going to mute you out here. So you'll have to have a valid ID reflecting the proper name, whether that's their ID or their passport or whatever it is. Laura, do you have a opinion on that too, or a suggestion?
Well, I'm in states that accept satisfactory evidence, which is most of them. I could use the previous ID, even if it's no longer valid because they changed to the new ID. If it has the same picture and it shows me the name I'm looking for. So she might have her marriage license, which doesn't have a photo, so that doesn't work for me. But in addition, she said, well, I have my hole punched one because they gave me this new one. So they hole punched my old one. As long as they didn't hole punch her face, where I could validate that, yeah, I see the same picture, same driver's license number. It's just now it's got the new name. That would be another way that I might go to support that change, because when the law says satisfactory evidence, it says, is the evidence satisfactory to the notary? It doesn't say, does the name match? You are the determiner of, have you identified that person in front of you? And you will ask for as much as it takes to make that happen. And I would tell you, there is nothing that will help me if it doesn't have their picture on it. Right? So their social security card doesn't help, their marriage license doesn't help, the divorce decree orders don't help. None of those things help. It's got to be some other ID. It may not have to be valid, because I'm going to use the valid ID, which was the right one. It's just I'm reconciling the name variation.
And then documenting the journal with all
And
of
then
your evidence,
documenting in
right?
the journal what I did and why I did it. And how much can you handle? How comfortable are you in Judge Judy's court to say what you did?
Right.
So if you're comfortable to tell her what you did, seem reasonable, go ahead.
And then Carol, I saw you unmute as well. Did you have something you wanted to add to that?
Oh, no, I was playing around, but yeah, I have this all the time. I have students run into this all the time. And it's exactly what Laura says. If we can convince ourselves, as long as we're satisfied that they are who they say they are, and using some form of ID that does have a description, photograph on it, whatever the means, then yeah, we can go ahead and do that. I'm comfortable with that. There was a time years ago when we couldn't do that. It didn't call for dissatisfy. You had to literally have exactly the same ID match what was on the documents.
Beautiful. Great question. Thank you.
My last question, sorry, one last question, has to do with the brother printer. Is anybody finding issues when they're printing that they're getting smudges on the printer?
And I'm going to
I don't know.
divert that one to the chat window. So if anybody can help Lula out via chat on smudges with the brother printer, I know she'd really appreciate that. Thanks. And I'm sure there's a solution out there. All right, Andrea B., thank you so much for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Hi, I'm in the state of California. I want to say thank you for providing this opportunity for notaries to improve their knowledge. So I have a couple of questions. One of my questions is regarding changing address. So, or actually, if the address that I provided on my application was my residence address, but I don't want to use that when I register on various platforms. So I obtain a PO box. Do I have to notify the Secretary of State that I'm using that PO box?
Laura, do you have an answer for Andrea on that one?
Yeah, Andrea, that's California, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the answer is if you have changed your business address, which you had listed as your residence as your business address, then you need to notify the Secretary of State via a letter that produces a receipt within 30 days. You don't have to do anything else. Just grab the form off their site. Your business address is now this PO box, and there you go.
Okay, thank you very much. So another question that I have is regarding an experience that I had with the signing service. And after the fact, it kind of made me question whether or not it was a safe practice. So I took the signing, and after receiving the order, they sent me a message asking if I would drop the documents off at an employee's house versus taking them to an office or sending them via Fedex. And I said that I would, and I asked them for the name of the employees that I would be dropping the documents off at that person's house. The response was they gave me the person's name, but then they said, drop it or leave it in the box on the porch. I wasn't comfortable with that. So when I got there, I rang the bell and I verified that the person that answered was the name of the employee that they gave me. But I did see a box open on the porch with a bunch of FedEx envelopes in it. So I'm wondering, is that not a good practice? And if that does come up, is the only alternative to say to them, can you send me a shipping label, or how do you handle something like that?
Carol, do you have any opinion on that?
Well, in my experience, the best thing that you can do is drop it at a location. Despite if you're finding open packages, it seems to me that that's their problem if something happens. But I'm not comfortable with that at all. I would insist on getting a label. Is it because they were so close to you, or what was the situation with?
They didn't explain to me why they were asking me to do that, but the employee's home was not far from where I was doing the signing.
Oh, it was to the employee's home.
Yes, they asked me to drop it off at the employee's home, but they said put it in the basket that was on the porch.
Oh, I would be banging on the door.
Right, which is what I did. So there's no issue with say dropping it off at an employee's house, but you want to hand it to somebody.
No, I've done that before when I worked directly with title companies in Arizona. Oftentimes we would be dropping it off at somebody's home, but I never left it on a porch. I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I would rather wait until the title company was open and go there and take it personally.
Right. Yeah, I did ring the bell because I was uncomfortable, but I didn't really have any way of verifying, other than them saying, yes, that's my name. I didn't really have any way of verifying who I was giving the document to. Thank you very much.
Always keep those types of instructions in writing.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a safe practice to leave it on their porch. I don't have an issue with going to an identified employee of the association. I would document what my instructions were, and I would knock on the door, ring the bell. I would not leave it on their porch. I mean, everything gets stolen from the porch. It's not an acceptable practice.
Yeah, good job, Andrea. I think you handled it perfect.
Yeah.
And I want to add something, if I may, that I tell my students all of the time, and that is CYA. When you get weird instructions, things that you don't feel are quite right, always try to get it in writing, whether it be an email, have them respond by email and save it, keep it. Because one of these days you're going to get into a situation where you're going to be very happy that you have proof that somebody else instructed you to do with what you did.
Okay, thank you
Very
very much.
All right. Thanks, Andrea. Sharon Brake from California. Thanks for being here. How can we help? Sharon Brake.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
I have 2 loans, husband and wife, each have a loan, and for 2 different properties. So the appointment is for them together, but I want to know for flow purposes, I'm feeling like I should just do one at a time. What would you recommend?
2 different properties?
Correct.
For me personally, I would set them up as 2 completely different appointments almost. Finish one completely, wrap it up, and then move on to the next one.
I agree.
It will turn
Okay,
into
because
a
the
complete
hiring
cluster
company, I'm sorry.
It'll turn into a complete cluster if you try to do anything different.
Okay. All right. I'll let them know because the hiring company scheduled them both for the same time.
Well, and you can talk
She
to
can do them at the same time.
Talk to the signers and see what their expectations are. And you can set the expectations for them. Like, okay, yeah, we can meet at 4, but I can only do one at that time. And then we'll do the second one afterwards or what. And if they want 2 different appointments, then they need 2 different notaries.
Okay.
At the same time. Because it's going to, you could probably try it, but it will be a complete class. I wouldn't even try it.
I don't want to put myself through that, but I mean, I'm agreeable to start the appointment. You know, we have the first one at 5 and the next one after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep,
Thank you.
Over the years, Bill and I had many times when we did 3, 4 properties at one time. Just make sure that you, on your shipping envelopes, that you write the address and the file number on it. And once you're done with one signing and you've double checked the documents, then put them into your envelope and close it up. Then you can start on the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Very good. Thank
like
you.
completely button it up, completely finish and move on.
Okay.
All right. Dan Trail, great to see you. Tell everybody what state you're in and how we can help.
It's great to be here. I'm in Texas.
All right.
And yeah, I didn't really want much. Don't want to take too much of your time. I saw the little side hustle lounge thing in the behind. I wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
Awesome. And yeah, I thought that was cool. And I want to ask Laura, was she able to hold Silas yet?
No, I'm still waiting, but I can't get my vaccine yet. I'm still waiting to get a vaccine. So I told them if they'd let me.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, I just wanted to say that.
Awesome.
Crazy.
Thank you so much, Dan Trail. Appreciate it. Glad you're here. Love your energy. And thanks for pointing out the Side Hustle Lounge, guys. That's a new podcast that launches April 15th. You can go to sidehustlelounge.com to register for updates. Thanks, Dan Trail. Looks like we got Jack Butler from Illinois. Thanks for being here. How can we help?
Yeah, thanks for having me, everyone. So I had 2 questions. One real quick. I just got a seller's package, today. The property is in Florida, and so they're asking for, I believe they're asking for witnesses. I've seen a few of the documents that are asking for witnesses to be present. So I just wanted to, I think, Laura, I've heard you talk about this a few times. I just wanted to confirm, are witnesses needed for this seller's package to basically go through to get those documents properly signed and moved on?
Yeah, if you have a deed, they're still requiring a witness. Now, Florida allows one of the notaries to be a witness, but actually you have to look at your own state's laws to see whether your state of Illinois allows you to hold both roles in the same document.
Okay.
Because some states, you can do that, and some states are a big no.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes total sense. Cool. Thank you. And then my second question, just pulling it up here. So I just wanted to kind of get a take on best practices for dropping off docs after a FedEx or UPS is closed. So I ran into this issue the last week where everything was closed. I basically didn't have any of the equipment needed to drop off the docs at a Dropbox. And so I was just wondering if is it best to hold on to documents until first thing in the morning and then drop them off as early as possible, or to try and find a Dropbox that night to basically put them in? And if so, do you guys keep like FedEx and UPS packages kind of on hand for situations like that? And then how do you kind of keep track of receipts when you drop them off at a Dropbox after hours?
So I don't drop off at a Dropbox. I always hand to a human being. And if that means waiting to the next morning, there's nothing happens to them when they're sitting in the Dropbox anyway. So there's no time loss. So that's my own personal policy on there, because I have been burned dropping at the Dropbox and then having documents get lost. I would much rather hand to a human being.
Gotcha.
And further, you can get an account online. It doesn't cost you a thing with both FedEx and UPS, and you get all of your supplies. They'll drop them off at your house. UPS is very stingy with their stuff. You can go in. My daughter had to pay $4 for a polyethylene envelope when she needed one at UPS. You sign up online and you can order your envelopes, your pouches, everything. Costs you nothing, and they bring it to your home, so you're always in supplies.
Awesome. I did not know that. Thank you guys. That was great answers for me. Appreciate it.
You're so welcome. Thanks for being here, Jack. All right, Marty Shelton, thank you for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help. Marty Shelton going once.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
there you
here.
go. Hi.
Hi. Hey, I'm in California, and I would be appreciative if you could remind us how to explain the per diem interest disclosure to people.
Laura, your favorite document in the whole world.
Yeah, mine too.
Carol.
We usually ask Carol to do it because she does it.
Carol, you want to jump in on that, on your per diem for California?
Sure. It's really, really easy. All it's basically saying is that if you want to fund, let's say you sign the documents and you're able to fund on Friday before a weekend so that you can close on Monday or Tuesday, they will have to be aware of the fact that they need to pay interest on that loan if it's funded on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and even possibly Monday. Or they can wait and fund on the following Monday and only pay perhaps 1 day of interest. And it, $50, $75, $80 a day, that can be a substantial amount to a lot of people. So, but that's basically what it is. If you wanted to fund right away, it's going to cost you. And if you wait until Monday, it ain't going to cost you.
That is the best thing that I've ever heard. The best explanation. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you. That's it.
Right.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Marty. Thank you, Carol. All right. Let's see. Matt Miller, great to see you on here today. What can we do for you in California?
Good afternoon, folks. Matt from the California League of Independent Notaries. Just wanted to reach out and let everyone know that there is a bill called SB 670 that will change immigration consultants to become immigration form assistants, and also would prohibit some services that current immigration consultants are allowed to do. So if any of you out there are immigration consultants, you might want to look this bill up. Again, it's SB 670 by Senator Caballero. And you can then, follow up on it and make your position known. That's all I have for today. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the update there, Matt. Letitia Coleman, thanks for being here. You want to unmute, tell us what state you're in and how we can help.
Oh my God, you called my name. Hi, guys. I'm from Illinois, and you may have already asked this question, but I kind of got on the call late. So had two questions. The first one is about the application, is it the 1008? Oh my God, 1008, 1003 application. I've seen a couple of different instructions from different loan signing companies. So what is the standard, or what should we be doing, like as far as where their signature should go? Because I've gotten like instructions of sign here, initial here, do it here, and then other instructions were different. So is there like a standard way of where they should sign that application and initial it?
Well, so this is a slippery slope for us because there are, even before the new one came out, there were different variations of a 1003. So it's, we in general let the document kind of guide us and decide if there's a place to sign. Now the 1003 does get tricky, especially now that there's a new version out. There's a place to sign with specific instructions if there's a second signer and where they have to initial, and it might be a different place than where the borrower signed. So Carol or Laura, do you have a better description that could help provide an umbrella statement for this?
My only umbrella statement is to do what the document says. If it's got a place and it says borrower signature or their name, that's where they signed.
Letitia, is there a specific example? Yeah, I'm sorry, Laura, I cut you off.
Well, like I can tell you, I don't have it in front of me, but I do know, like, it said like to sign at the top. There's no line to sign at the top of that application that I was looking at that day. There is no line. So I would not have known to have them sign there. As far as an initial, I've not seen a line that says initial. So
Letitia, if you don't see anything for initialing, then you don't initial. Don't do that.
Yeah, so the problem is you're probably hearing training or guidance from someone suggesting to sign the top, but remember, there's no blanket statements, there's no always, and there's no never in this business. So you let the document kind of decide. And typically on the 1003, there is a place for a signature at the top. There's a little paragraph and there's a tiny little signature line in there. For both the borrower and the co-borrower, but not always, right? Maybe there's another variation of the 1003, and some 1003s do require initials, and they will have a line that says initials.
There's a new 1003 that doesn't require the joint applicant, which has always been a thorn, as who've been around for a while understand, because it used to call for the joint the joint applicants to sign at the top. And when you had a non-borrowing spouse, they still wanted somebody to sign, but the new one doesn't require it at all.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of tricks me up a little bit, and that always makes me a little nervous. So that was kind of my question, but I'll kind of go with what the document says do, unless, the signing company, like Mortgage Connect, I think is one of the companies. They give you like all of these long instructions, like literally like do this regarding that application. So that just kind of made me think, okay, this is something that I need to pay attention to on all of the loan signings, I'm assuming, but I don't see that on all of them.
It's hard to say, but it's really hard to say on notary instructions in particular. They're probably talking about the documents that are in that loan package, but the challenge is, and why so many notaries stop reading the notary instructions, is they use the same instructions for every single file, and that's dangerous as well.
Yeah.
So you definitely use that loan application that's in that file to help navigate that, and just know it might be different. It takes some getting used to, but it does get easier. You'll start to recognize them.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. I forgot my second question, so maybe it'll come up again.
All right. Thank you for being here.
You. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Letitia.
Can I ask a question?
I'm sorry?
Can I ask a question, follow up on the 1003 since we're talking about it?
Sure.
So yesterday I had a signing. The application did not have initial lines, but the lender instructions said to have them initial every page.
Okay.
Was I right to draw lines and ask them to initial because that's what the lender instruction said?
The lender's the boss. So if they tell you to do that and it's not a violation of notary law, then yes, absolutely. And you'll find this too. There's a certain VA document, the VA disbursement form. Sometimes you'll have an instruction page right before that form, and it says all borrowers must initial in the lower right-hand corner of this document. Gets missed all the time because there's no initial.
Correct.
But the lender's telling you to do that. So yes, absolutely. If they want the borrower to jump up and down on one leg while they do it, you can present that to the borrower as well. But that's there's nothing wrong with following the lender instructions as long as it's not in violation of notary law or your integrity. All right. Let's see, Bill Reese. I want to go back to Bill because we had missed him. Bill, do you have a question? Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sure can.
Okay. Yeah, my question was around the 1003 because we're doing our first new one this afternoon. It seemed to only be a single signature line on there. So, and Tabitha sent out a link. Thank you, Tabitha. In addition to that, we just did our first California signing. Customer was over here on business, had to go out and do a package for them. And the first time I really noticed it, but I mean, it has what appears to be a notary venue at the top of the form. And this was on the errors and corrections. So started out the form, state of California, county of blank, and then goes on and says the undersigned being duly sworn, blah, blah, blah. And then at the very end, then there's of course our notary certificate. So what's the guidance on those venue information at the top of the form? Is that something the notary's supposed to change? Or when I'm doing signings here in Arizona, it doesn't matter because I'm in the same area. First time we've done a California signing, so first I had that come up.
Not a California issue, that's a document issue. Because in California, we cannot break up our venue from the rest of our certificate. So if I was having to fill that out, even in California, I would have to repeat the venue down below where the certificate is. A lot of times that venue up top is the property.
So does the notary change that information at the top if they're signing in Arizona?
I don't touch that because to me that's document stuff. I put my venue at the certificate, and so I don't mess with that. The signer can do it.
Okay, perfect. Because that's how we ended up doing it. So all right. And then the only other question I got is on, I know we talked about our records previously. What about platforms such as Dropbox or SecureSync or some of those? Are those able to be used for passing documents back and forth securely?
Not necessarily always secure. And I don't know what the protocol or the rules are on that, but I use our records for that very reason. I think there's a certain amount of security with a Dropbox, but I know that you can still password protect Dropbox and even box.com even further.
Right, I don't pass anything that we don't encrypt. Right, we don't send anything out. We don't encrypt first anyway, but I was just wondering if those are safe to use, even encrypted.
Got it.
I don't know the protocols, safety protocols for Dropbox, so I don't know if it would meet the requirements for the kinds of documents we would be putting in there.
Okay. All right. That's all I have. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Bill. Circling back to Randy Venters.
All right, this is a very specific question. So last week I had a signing of a cash deal. The gentleman was buying a house that his parents were going to live in, and Washington is a community property state, so the wife was going to have to sign a quitclaim deed to give up her right to the property. When I met with them when we first started, I asked the gentleman if his wife was going to join us, and he said, "Oh, she's in another room with a baby. When we get to the time for her to sign her form, she'll come out and do it." So I thought, okay, let's just move on and get it started. So when it came time for her to come out, he yelled at her and said, "Hey, hon, bring your ID. You need to come sign this piece of paper." She then came out and I started filling out my journal with her information. And she goes, "Oh, what is this?" And he said, "Oh, I'm buying mom and dad a house. You know about it." And she goes, "Well, what am I signing?" So I went on to explain what the quitclaim deed was and why she had to sign it. And he kind of rolled his eyes at me and gave me a dirty look. So my first thought was, I know I'm right to explain the document so she understands what she's signing, but kind of how much do I explain to her?
Great question. Part of your responsibility is to make sure that your signer has a general understanding of the document she's signing. So regardless of his opinion, you have the responsibility to her to whom you're notarizing. Laura, do you have any follow-up on that?
Yeah, I think the part that I want to follow up on is how far do you go? It's not my job to explain a quitclaim deed. I can say what it does in general, which is granting, giving the rights to the property to whoever the grantees are going to be. And then what that means for her, what other outcomes there could be, not my job, not my business.
Okay, thank you.
I think you handled it quite well, though.
Mhm.
All right. Sherry Tizano, thanks for being here. You want to unmute? Tell us what state you're in and ask your question. Sherry Tizano. All right, moving on to Kathy.
Oh, here I
Sherry,
am.
okay.
I'm sorry, I was driving. I had to pull over.
No problem. What's up?
Um,
How can we help?
Yeah, I'm from Big Sky, Montana.
Yeah.
So first question, I don't know why this popped in my head, but in some of the books, they ask you for the number of documents. And of course, I think it's relevant when you file as an LLC, which I did for the first time this year. My question is, when you count the documents, do you only count the documents that are going to be signed?
This is for, are you talking about for your journal, Sherry?
Yes.
Laura, do you have an opinion on that?
Well, if it's a journal, to me, only the notarized documents count for a journal. So it would only be the notarized documents. I notarized 5 documents, 10 documents for this one signer.
So you don't account, I always count signatures, but I also count the documents.
Well, you asked about documents, so that's why I answered that way. You can put both. You know, what is your journal asking you for?
It asks you for documents and then it asks you for signatures.
Then put them both. But what you asked was what documents are you counting? And I'm saying notarized documents. That's what you're counting.
Okay, so you only count the notarized documents, which would be the same as your signature documents, would they not? Are the signature documents everything that the borrower or the other person signs?
Yeah, I think you're making it a little too hard. It's just how many documents did I notarize? How many signatures are on those documents? 5 documents, 1 signer, it's 5 and 5. 5 documents, 2 signer, it's 5 and 10. Right?
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep. Okay. Second question is, I was just approved to sign for AMROC, and I've taken all my RON certification and all that. How do I get an electronic stamp? Because I've called the state on it and they said somebody has to sponsor me.
Through Montana?
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like that's a correct answer, that somebody has to sponsor you for that. But I can tell you that the NNA sells e-stamps and they can help you with that.
Okay. Okay, because I'm certified through them too. Okay, so I'll just get a hold of them. All right. That's all the questions I have. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sherry.
Bill,
Bye-bye.
I'd like to, can I make an announcement before we get off? It's getting pretty quick here.
Yeah, do you mind if I just take Kathy's questions real quick? Because I called on her and then, okay, we'll do Kathy real quick. Last question, and then we'll have time for some announcements.
I appreciate it. Hi, this is Kathy from California. Thank you so much for you guys' wonderful trainings. I have a couple of questions. You might have touched up on this, but I had to step away and come back. Regarding the signing companies, scan back, secure scan back. Do we choose them? My understanding was they tell us who to choose.
I guess I don't understand your question. They tell us
like, do they tell us which app to use, or do we choose like our records or whatever?
Oh, so some companies have an app, and a secure app where you can scan right into that. And that's an option for you. Otherwise, anytime we are going to transmit anything, we choose what our security protocol is going to be. And that's why we choose our records and companies like that to send them.
Got you. And then as far as dropping off to UPS stores, although they lost one item I was sending back to Amazon, do you guys feel secure to use the UPS stores as long as I get a receipt? You get a receipt, you're okay with signing companies?
So the signing company or the hiring company is going to determine who their shipping relationship is with. That might be through UPS, that might be through FedEx, it might be through DHL or any number of other companies, but they're the ones that make that choice.
But I don't have a UPS shipping center close to me. I have UPS store close to me. Is that okay? Like those moms and pops?
That's a shipping center. Yeah. They have a relationship through UPS. So you're good there. I was just recommend with the human being as well.
Okay. And lastly, the name match. Let's say if I get confused with this reasonable thing. When you have a reasonable belief that the ID is good. Let's say the ID is showing, the documents are showing first name, last name. The ID is showing, the document is showing first name, middle, last name. The ID is showing first name and last name. You match the signatures, you match the descriptions. It seems to be the same person. Then you have them sign the documents with a middle name. How do you have them sign the journal? Or let's say if it's the maiden name that's not matching, would you ask for an satisfactory ID or like a birth certificate or something like that is okay as well?
Laura, do you want to, did that make some sense?
If it didn't, I'm sorry.
Two different issues. One is a minor name variation, like with a middle initial. First of all, we always follow what goes in the certificate is what's on the document. Then our job is, can we reasonably believe that the person in front of us who provided this ID is the person named in the document? So the document name is the leader, and that's what goes in the certificate. And that's what you're going to probably use in your journal as well. Now, regarding bigger variations than that, you're going to want some other type of ID that has their picture on it that shows they have that. And if they can't do that, then you would want to go to credible witnesses if your state allows for that.
Laura, if it was you and everything matches, signature matches, but it's missing a middle name or middle initial on the ID, would you still ask for another form of ID?
I would say, what's in your wallet? Do you have anything that you can show me in your wallet that shows your middle initial is J? Or your middle name is Jean? I don't care what it is. Show me that it's reasonable that that's your middle name. It's just not on your driver's license.
Okay, and to protect ourselves, do we write that in journals?
Absolutely, I would record it in the journal.
Okay, even though if it's a credit card or anything like that?
I don't care if it's a credit card. My Costco card has my picture on the back.
Oh, it's got to have a picture, basically,
well,
right?
Anytime it doesn't have to be a state ID. I'm just saying I need a picture with the name variation. The smaller the name variation, like it's my nickname versus my given name, I'm not going to ask for something else. But when it's another name missing or added, now I'm going to say, what do you got that shows me that that belongs to you?
Gotcha. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. Great questions. Thank you, Kathy. Thanks for being here. All right. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. Carol has an announcement for everyone. Carol, what's going on?
Well, once a month, we have something called Prime Time Notaries, because so many people in this business today are not youngsters. I have students that are from 50 to 75. So once a month we have a meeting and we talk about the things that affect the older people. And I just want to let people know that if they're interested in going to seeing it, being a part of it, or getting the replays, you can go to primetimenotaries.com and register. There's also Primetime on Facebook. where they can register. We have over 600 and almost 650 people registered right now for tomorrow night. It's at 7 p.m. Texas time, which is 2 hours ahead of California and Arizona. And of course, the East Coast, I think, is an hour ahead of us. So anyway, if you're interested, just wanted you to know we've got some guests and we do some interesting things. And anybody who's interested can sign up. It doesn't cost anything.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you so much, Carol. And thank you to everyone who took some time out of their Tuesday to grow themselves and their business. Really appreciate you being here and all the support. Laura, thank you for being here. Carol, thank you so much for being here and taking some time out of your days too. Love hanging out with you, and we'll see you same time, same place next week.